Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Our Turf Football Podcast. You have all four of us today. See, we just like to keep you changed up on you, and we like to, keep it, on the fly. And so we never know. Like Lisa showed up out of nowhere last week. I thought it was just going to be me and Sonia, and then Lisa showed up, but it's all four of us today. We're very excited to be here because we have a lot to talk about. First of all, we want to thank everyone who shifted with us from Tuesday to Wednesday. We decided to do Wednesday this week for a couple of reasons. Kate was traveling for work, but most importantly is Lisa was spending today at the Senior Bowl. And so we wanted to have a conversation about that while it was still fresh in her mind and while she was still there in Mobile. So it was really, really good that you guys all shifted with us to Wednesday night. Before we get started, of course, we want to thank our sponsor, Donkey's Place Cheesesteaks. They have 3 locations in New Jersey, Medford, Mount Holly, and Camden. And you can also, of course, go to goldbelly.com, look up Donkey's Place Cheesesteaks, and you can have it sent directly to your house. It is fantastic, and we appreciate them more than they will ever know. And we are excited because next season, we are going to do a live show from one of their restaurants. So if y'all are in that part of the country, come on over and hang out with us. We'll let y'all know when that's going to happen for sure. I also want to say hi to everyone in chat. You guys are already over there chit-chatting away. If you are watching over on Twitter or on Facebook, come over to the YouTube channel. That is what our link is to. And then you can get in our live chat, have conversations. We want all y'all's opinions on the Senior Bowl because there's a lot to be talked about for sure. All right. But first, before we get there, we are going to start with the conference championship games. They were irritating to me. I'm just going to put it. So let's go ahead and start with the first game last Sunday, which was the Commanders and the Eagles. Sonia, I think it was you that said, it was either you or Kate, I can't remember who said, this is the game I expected for us to see Detroit to do to the Commanders. And then...
No, that was Kate.
Was it Kate? Yeah. Kate. And then when that didn't happen, I expected more from the Commanders. Kate, what did you think of this game? Since it was Kate that said it.
Yeah, if you had told me at the beginning of the playoffs that this was gonna be the game, I would have gotten the game I got. But looking at how the Commanders had played the couple weeks before, I think Detroit fell victim finally to all their injuries, which made the Commanders look even better than they were. And I think they were a little full of themselves. And then they ran up against the Eagles. And like it or not, the Eagles are very similar to the Chiefs in that they've got veterans. They've been there before. They know how to handle it. They know how to turn on that switch in the playoffs. Yep. It drives a fan crazy during the regular season, but they get to the playoffs and they flip that switch. And I'm like, Jane Daniels, great rookie year. Love what you're doing. Love the future you have. But you were going to get hit. You were going to get a buzzsaw from somebody in the playoffs. And like I said, those injuries took the Lions out, and Philly just handled it. I love every single yard Saquon Barkley gets. I don't understand why Eagles fans are salty. They had him. They didn't use him. They didn't have a team around him.
Oh, Giants fans, yeah.
Giants fans. I was
Giants
like,
fans.
why are
Giants
Eagles
fans, sorry.
I'm like, why are the Eagles fans mad? Yeah. No,
Giants fans. I don't know why they're so grumpy about it. They traded him, right? So
right. They should be grumpy at their coaching staff, who still has a job. That's
what they should be grumpy about, right? Direct your anger to the right place.
Direct it to the right area. It was really interesting to me in this game that you could almost see, Sonia, kind of the light go out of the eyes of the offense for the Commanders. Like you could almost see we did pretty good, but we're getting our asses kicked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you could almost see it. It was
they had a good run.
And let me tell you though, those defenses, the Commanders defense did the best that they could. You could see they were exhausted by the end, but man, that Eagles defense was looking good that night. They rattled that Commanders offense. What did you think about this game?
I thought that the Commanders were in over their head. I think they saw it and they were just like, yeah, no, can't do it. But they tried and they played very well, I think, throughout the season. So everybody should be happy for them, seriously. But the Eagles are it. And I really would have liked to see Eagles Lions, but I think we know that it probably would have ended the same way because at this level you have to be like on all cylinders, and the defense for the Lions was not there. But the Eagles are just so together, and so we've been there. We know how to turn it on, and we know what we're doing. They got the best walk there, I think.
Right, for sure. So Darcy, our dear friend Darcy, his favorite team is the Commanders. He said the fumbles killed us. The Eagles scored TDs on all 4 of them.
Yeah,
that is exactly, Lisa, what we had said last week, the week prior, about the Lions, that the turnovers killed them. And there's just no way at this level, I don't think, to make up for that. You can do it in the regular season. God knows the Lions did, but not in the playoffs, Lisa. It's just too hard.
And then you set the tone with the first play of the game. Come on. I mean, how many people felt that just whoosh? I mean, it was like it did. It seemed like that game was over after that game to me. It was like him, because that was the biggest thing. And I said that if he gets over 100 yards, they're going to win. There's just everything about it. And you can't turn the ball over. Like you said, we pound it. You just can't. And, they're punching. They're punching that ball even going into the fourth quarter. It didn't matter. I mean, they're on a mission. So I thought it was a good game. I mean, Hale, they did good. I mean, it was good. They got to the game. They should be proud of themselves.
For sure.
We just, we got to watch for that dreaded sophomore slump next year. So we'll see if you can continue it, because you set the bar pretty high. We said about the Texans. With Stroud, with CJ. It's like, is it a bad thing or a good thing? It's like, you like to see it. But I think you saw the same thing we saw in CJ last year, that these quarterbacks are here. And if they could just, keep learning, it'll get better. And coaching matters. I mean, within a couple years, this organization has totally done a 360.
Did you guys read that Seth Wickersham article?
Yeah,
I mean, Dan Snyder's pissed, people.
Oh yeah, I mean, really. I mean, it culture. I mean, it's for real, and they finally got it right.
Yep. So, Kristen in chat says the Eagles were on point, especially when they got in their groove, and you could feel it. You could just feel that momentum. Although I will tell you that first handoff to Saquon that goes all the way in for touchdown, I was like, uh-oh.
There you go.
Uh-oh.
And in the fourth quarter, when they gave Saquon a break and put Shipley in, and he rips one off for like 50-some yards. When their backup running back does that, they have thoroughly worn that defense down. And it's something the Chiefs will have to be aware of and be on guard for in the Super Bowl, is even if something happens to Barkley and he goes out, they've still got Shipley. That line will still protect for him. They are still dangerous in the running game. And that was completely evident against the Commanders.
So 2 comments. Darcy says, I'm content, though, first off season where we don't have to look for a quarterback, a coach, coordinators, or anything, and $90 million in cap space, which leads right into Big Red. Hey, Big Reds. Question: was this Washington's one shot to make the Super Bowl for the foreseeable future? No,
I don't think so.
They are at the bottom of the upswoop, in my opinion. I don't think at all that they. Go ahead.
No, I was about to say, I'm looking at their schedule next year, and it looks, pretty decent.
Yeah,
honestly,
it'll be.
I think they've got a decent chance.
Yeah, they're going to have to spend the offseason figuring out how to beat Philadelphia and how to beat the Lions next year. And depending on what the Vikings do, if they stick with J.J. McCarthy, I don't see them getting 14 wins again. So really, that's what they need to focus on. Those are the 2 teams that are in their way of getting to the Super Bowl. We have the same situation going on in the AFC that we're going to talk about in a minute. Is there's those 1 or 2 teams that you gotta gear up for them. You gotta spend your offseason looking at what do you need to get by those 2.
Gotcha. Well, let's go ahead and switch over to the AFC Championship. I'm going to be bluntly honest. I kind of half watched this game. I'm like, I've seen this game. I've seen this game too damn many times in the last few years. And so I was not nearly as invested as the rest of my city mates. Let's just put it that way. But the parts that I did watch, it was a good game. It was back and forth. It was here, there. There are some people who think the refs got too involved. Again, there were a couple of very questionable calls, I think it was better, to be honest with you, than we have seen in the past that has come in. But the Chiefs did win, even though the entire country didn't want them to. The Chiefs did win. They
Not
came
the
on to the
entire
last
country.
minute. Yeah. Well, that's right. Lisa is the sole person I know who outside of Kansas City. Because why? Because she doesn't like because they're in division. I get that.
Of course,
The
come on.
minute anyone from my division gets in the Super Bowl, I'm rooting for whoever they're playing against, right? So I get that totally. But the interesting thing about this game is that it was kind of exactly what we expected. Lisa, what did you think of this game?
I think it was like you said, it was kind of what we expected. I think everybody was holding their breath about the refs, though, right? Were you waiting for that just one big call? Instead, we got a nitpick and put under a microscope, fourth down plays. You don't want to be in fourth down. Don't be in a fourth down play to begin with. So when you look at the whole thing, I thought we were going to have a shootout in the first quarter. I figured we were going to go to the last person with the ball again kind of thing, which we almost did. I mean, if you had a chance in the fourth quarter, if you would have stopped them from getting that 1 3rd down, there was still 3 minutes left.
Yeah.
They rocked off 2 first downs and just milked the clock at the end. So, I mean, I feel for Bills fans. I do. It's getting in arguments about Josh Allen and stuff like that. I mean, he's an elite quarterback. That's why you're there for how many times have you there? Is he Buffalo's best quarterback ever? No. Jim Kelly still owns that because Jim Kelly at least went to the Super Bowl 4 times.
Right.
So, but I think that's a whole different era. I'm talking to Generation X kids, so they don't, so of course in their era, yes, he is the best. Is he best in the history of the Bills? No.
Yeah.
So
that's funny. So a lot of people, and Kate, I'm going to send this one to you. A lot of people have been talking about this Mahomes magic and how Mahomes is the reason that they come in and he can save it at the end. While I agree with that statement, I do think that the rest of the team actually played pretty well. They managed to actually put up over 30 points for the first time in the whole season. So it's like the offense came alive. The defense actually looked like they were struggling with a very good offense, so understandably so. But do you give Mahomes all the credit for this one? I thought it was a pretty good team win.
So I agree. I was pulling up some of the stats to look at it. This is the only game of the entire playoffs where the losing team did not turn the ball over.
Yeah.
There was 1 turnover in this game, and it was Buffalo. Everything was super even. Buffalo had 6 more yards of total offense. The penalties were 6 versus 5. Like, everything was super even. The one stat, which I think supports the fact that this was more of a team win, is that Kansas City was 1 for 1 on 4th down. Buffalo was 4 of 6. Because they were only 35% on 3rd down. They couldn't convert on 3rd down, and Kansas City did. Whether they were rushing, whether he was throwing, whatever they were doing, they were able to convert on 3rd, so it never got there. And it was, Travis Kelce played one of his best games of the season.
Yeah.
As
he only plays well in the
playoffs. He was invisible for at least half the year.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of evenness. It was just a very even. It felt very one-sided as I was watching it, but then looking at the stats and every time of possession, everything was so close. I don't know what Buffalo needs to do. I don't know what anyone in the AFC needs to do to get past the Chiefs. It's that same thing again I said about the Eagles, and the Chiefs actually had a really good year this year. Last year, we weren't sure if they were going to get through the first round of the playoffs, but again, they flipped that switch. And they're a whole different team. But this felt like a very balanced, well-rounded victory. And while nobody likes the officials getting, I've already seen the jokes that the Eagles have already been flagged twice for rush, hitting the quarterback kind of stuff. They had 5 and the Bills had 6. Like, it was even in all those areas. The Bills just couldn't convert on 3rd.
Yeah, they really struggled with that for sure. Absolutely.
Yep.
So, Sonia, while this might not be the Super Bowl matchup that everyone was dreaming of, it's a rematch again. I will tell you that I don't have a big interest in watching it, although I will watch it because I have to. But I'm just like, we've seen this game compared to the way that when they played before, which was a very tight game before. And Saquon Barkley being such a factor, there are a lot of people who are giving Kansas City the nod because he has played against this defensive coordinator 8 times. If I hear Rob Gronkowski say that one more time, I swear, well, he's played against this defensive coordinator 8 times and he's beaten him every time. I feel like this is a different Eagles team than we had a couple of years ago. They're not going to rely so much on the tush push. They're not going to rely so much. They are going to run this ball down their throat. How do you feel about this matchup this time around?
I feel like it's definitely going to be a good game. I think it's going to come down to if they're able to stop Saquon and if the Eagles are able to create something to take the attention off of Saquon and get everybody else wide open, which they can. And they've done it all season. So I think it can happen. But the Chiefs are the Chiefs. And right now, I mean, Big Red said it right there. Mahomes is kind of Brady-ish.
Yeah.
And
really
the man made things happen. So it's going to be a tight game. I can't call it, but it's going to be, I think I will call it. I'm not calling it. I'll call it later.
Yeah, we'll do that later. I just think it's going to be a different feel in the matchup this year. So we'll see. We got a couple of weeks to hear about it. Nothing else about it. Thank God for the Senior Bowl, which we're going to get to, guys, I swear, here in just a couple of minutes. But thank God for some of these games and the Pro Bowls and things to kind of break this up. Because 2 weeks is a long time to talk about Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. So, all right. We're going to move on from – go ahead, Kate.
I forgot to say this when we were talking about the Eagles Commanders. I learned something new watching football. A referee can award a score to a team that doesn't score.
Yes.
And I think one of you retweeted the Sean Hockley thing with this is the equivalent of, don't make me come back there. I looked up the rule. If a team commits a penalty repeatedly, just to stop the other team from scoring, the referee or the umpire can say to them, if you do that again, I'm just going to give them the score. And they had 3 offsides, and it's half the distance to the goal. Like, we're talking inches by the time the third one happened. And he said to them, you do it again, I'm just giving them the 6. And that's absolutely in the rule book to keep them from doing that. If the sole purpose of it was to just stop them from scoring and delay things, you have to give them a warning. But I didn't know that was a thing. I thought it was like some kind of a joke, like a Kansas City's already been awarded scores or something, but it was in the NFC game. But I just thought that was very cool. I love that I still learn new things about the rules in football.
Learning stuff every day.
I wonder how long that'll be a rule, because people had hated that thing.
Well, especially after that rule, because it's like they're going to have to do something with this tush push, because that was generated the whole thing of them, these guys trying to come up with these crazy jumping over the lines and stuff to try to get ahead of this thing. And so I think it just warranted more of they're going to have to relook. They're going to have to look at this.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get this every single time down there when they're within a yard or two.
Yep.
They're all going to get in, and every single defensive coordinator is trying to find a head start. So, but I thought the first one was funny.
There have to be ways to stop it that don't involve being offsides. Right. Defenses, they're never going to, I don't know how you regulate against it. Defenses have to learn how to stop it.
Well, they did too. At one point, the Commanders' defense did stop a tush push, and that was really good. So that was impressive. I even tweeted about that. I'm like, look at that. Who knew? Right? We had no idea. But all right. So we're going to move on. We're going to talk about the new hires for head coaches. Pretty much every team has it, except the Saints. The Saints are just hanging out. I don't know what they're doing. They're interviewing Kellen Moore. They're interviewing this person.
Somebody tweeted today, like, the Saints have completed an interview with. I'm like, wait, they haven't hired anybody?
No, they are the only ones left. So
I'm actually going tomorrow.
Oh, do you have your interview tomorrow?
Yeah, I have my.
Yeah, I thought Kristen's mom was interviewing for that job, or was it the Jets job she was interviewing for?
Somebody's. All right. Well, let's look at the coaches that have been hired so far this season. So the head coaches, obviously, Ben Johnson was hired in Chicago. The people who grade these sort of things really like this hire. I think that it's a little interesting to go in division, but we'll see kind of what happens there. The Las Vegas Raiders have hired my sweet darling Pete Carroll.
Good Lord.
Here's the thing. I love this hire for them because Tom Brady and Pete Carroll were nemesis for a long time. And Tom Brady went and hired him. I think that's just really cool for some reason. Like, I don't know why. I just think it's neat. But here's the interesting thing with this hire is I'm watching that press conference, and just give me a minute, people. So I'm watching this press conference and I'm like, this is everything I am missing in my own team. I just miss that energy that he has. And then out of nowhere in the background, you hear someone scream Raiders. And of course it's Marshawn Lynch. And I'm like, that's my team, damn it. That's like, I'm not a Raiders fan now, but I ain't going to be mad if they beat the Chiefs a couple of times this next year. Like, I would be really excited. And think about that division now. You have Jim Harbaugh, Pete Carroll, Sean Payton, and Andy Reid for coaches. Holy crap. That's like a serious one. That'll be really fun to watch over the next couple of years. All right. So then you also have, let's see, we have Mike Vrabel was hired for the New England Patriots in the worst kept secret ever. That was out forever. Aaron Glenn getting hired in the New York Jets. Everyone loves this hire. I just think that they're still waiting around to see if Aaron Rodgers kind of shows up or what he's going to do. In the head scratcher of hires, the Jacksonville Jaguars hired Liam Cohen. Now, he's out of Tampa Bay, but he did himself no favors with that Duval skirt. What was that?
Duval.
What was that? He's like,
Duval.
I don't.
It was crazy.
It was so crazy. I don't even know what the deal is with that. It was just nuts. And then, but good for him. Yay. Then good old Jerry. God love Jerry Jones for screwing everything up and then crying during his press conference. Jerry might have hit the wall this year. This might be the wall for Jerry. They hired Brian Schottenheimer as the head coach. Now, listen, Brian Schottenheimer was the OC for Seattle for a while. He's worked under some really good coaches. This might turn out to be okay, but you have to just kind of wonder if it was like, you know, I don't give a crap. Just put somebody's name down kind of a moment, right? It was strange. It was very strange. So then you have the Saints, the only team left that does not have a head coach. Like I said, they've interviewed every single person out there. You know, Lisa, it kind of makes me wonder if they're waiting for someone from either the Chiefs or the Eagles before they hire.
That's it's not a far-fetched idea. I mean, and they're interviewing guys twice. I mean, I know that they brought Anthony Weaver, our defensive coach, in twice. And they, I forgot, they did another 2 interviews. So it's like, okay, so those 2 guys were like the front runners. Now crickets. We haven't heard a thing. So
Kellen Moore, I think, was the last one that they had brought.
Was
in.
it? Okay. Because I know if whether they're, you know, they said that they were going to take their time and try to get it right. So,
and good for them, right? You know, and then it's wait, where is it, Big Red? I saw it. There it is. Saints are hanging with who? Spencer Rattler. Oh, that made me real happy when I read that, Big Red. So, you know, it's interesting when you look about the Jerry Jones too. It's like Darcy put between Jerry and then Steven using air quotes on their drought, pissing off their fan bases. It's hilarious. It is. It's bizarre. It's just Big Red wants to know who's messing with Jerry's meds. You know, it is a little funny. Kristen did put this out. God love you, Kristen. It's like Pete's going to uplift the whole team and the fans. I'm happy for Raiders fans. I am going to Vegas when they play the Chargers because I want to watch Pete and Jim Harbaugh across from each other again. I think that's going to be fun. But none of these coaches were, other than probably Liam, just because it was a bit of a surprise, or a lesser known, maybe is a better way of putting it. The bigger surprise, I think, that happened during this coaching cycle, though, to me at least, was the fact that Mike McCarthy has decided to sit this year out. He obviously had a couple of interviews. People were very interested in having him come in. It seems like maybe, oh my gosh, why am I blanking? The coach from Jacksonville that got fired, Peterson, he also is sitting out this year. It's like some of these bigger coaches are just kind of taking a minute. And I find that really interesting. Maybe, Sonia, do you think some of these jobs just weren't all that, you know, exciting?
I think so. And plus, I mean, you got paid. Sit and chill. Relax.
Yeah.
You know, kind of, you know, give yourself a second to catch up and figure out what you want to do with your life. And is it going to be worth it? Like, if I'm them, I'm going to go to a spot where it's going to be pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Pretty sweet. Either I've got a lot of support, I got a lot of, you know, draft capital, things like that. I can see things going really well for me. Or, you know, I'll hold off and just kind of wait till I get a decent situation, a good spot for me, because why go to a job when you're just going to end up right back in this spot 2 and 3 years later, right?
Oh, if even that. Sometimes they only keep them
exactly.
Go ahead, Kate.
I don't know how Robert Saleh doesn't have a job.
He does. He's the new defensive coordinator for the Niners.
He has a new old job.
He has a new old
his
job.
old job back.
Yeah.
I don't know why he's not a head coach.
I don't either.
I love Pete Carroll.
Mm-hmm.
I hope the Las Vegas situation isn't the hot mess that I worry it's going to be, because I wish better for him.
Yep.
The one that I'm most concerned about, frankly, is Aaron Glenn with the Jets.
Literally.
He took a defensive coordinator who was a cornerback when he played, and you're sending him to crazy town with Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. They, in my opinion, needed a Mike McCarthy or somebody, Doug Peterson, somebody who's done this before, because I don't know if Aaron Glenn is ready for what that locker room is going to look like with the Jets.
Kate,
That's
it makes
the only
me
one I worry about.
It makes me wonder if they already know that Rodgers isn't coming back.
Yeah.
So
then this town's only big enough for one AA run.
That's right.
True that.
That is true. So that's where we're at. Lots of coordinators have been named. Lots of other assistant coaches. There's been a lot that has gone on in the last couple of weeks, but those head coaches were still holding on for you, Saints. We got you. We'll figure it out. So
I like them taking their time, though. I think that's good. I mean, because that division is up for grabs, and the right person, they got some good talent on that team. They could take it.
And it also gives other coordinators chances for interviews, to horn their skills of, they probably know they weren't going to get the job, but still it was, worth the experience of going and interviewing and, feeling what that process feels like.
Yeah.
For coaches down the line that are, will be reevaluated in a couple of years, maybe for another team or another job that comes available.
Yeah, I think
I don't think any of these guys should get to talk to anyone until after the Super Bowl.
So that has been a huge
convince me that Detroit's coordinators interviewing for jobs didn't have an effect on how that team played. You can't. Nobody should be allowed to talk to anybody until after the Super Bowl.
That has been a huge
whole
topic.
month until the combine.
Yeah. There's been a lot of conversation on NFL radio about that's maybe something they need to look at. The only problem is you have the Senior Bowl before the Super Bowl, and then you have the combine right after. So then there would be kind of like there is for free agency. It's like, oh, the day you're allowed to talk to them, there's 15 hires. You can't tell me that hadn't already been talked about. So yeah, there's all of that for sure. God love you, Big Red. The Jets have Aaron Rodgers, while the Raiders are coached by Mr. Rodgers. Don't pick on my Pete. Big Red, I love him.
Poor Pete.
I just love Pete. I just love him. I just want him to do good. All right, so let's move on. Lisa,
yes,
you are in Mobile, Alabama.
I am in Mobile, Alabama.
We are in full swing of the Senior Bowl today. Everyone, they had practice yesterday, practice today. I think they have a couple
tomorrow
more throughout the week. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So tell us, what was the feel this year?
Well, the feel more is just about what every time we come in here, it's like last year was the offensive line. We had a great group of offensive line. This year's kind of me on a lot of
say that. Nothing but offensive line.
I mean, they've got some great guys. I mean, there's some studs in this draft. The running backs right now are the talk of the classes. Yep. This is a great running back crew that's here, and we saw a lot of it today. The Georgia running back Etienne, is that how you say his name? I don't know how to say his name.
Etienne.
Oh, holy cow, he was smoking people. And understand it's up and down field. I mean, there's a lot of motions that they're not allowed to do. There's a lot of plays. It's going to be very straightforward. And they feel that sometimes this gives coaches and GMs a better look at the player without all the crazy formations and stuff like that. So it was just straight blocking up the middle, and these guys were smoke. I mean, that kid, woo. Quarterback crop this year is kind of, this is a third, fourth tier that I'm looking at here in Mobile. Mm-hmm. The top tiers are Cam Ward and Sanders, Shador, and that was a lot of talk today, which was good. I got a lot of insight on Cleveland. I talked to a lot of Cleveland Browns beat writers today about Cleveland's position at number 2. And the majority of them, 100%, think Cleveland is going to take Cam Ward right off the board. I know It's because he has got because they're pretty much saying that the Titans are locked in on Shedeur.
What?
Yeah, that's
they've watched these kids play, right? Like, oh my God, this quarterback class is not.
But honestly, if you're a Browns fan, you want them locked onto him. Trust me, because if you're going to take either one of these quarterbacks, you want Cam Ward. I followed this kid. I seen this kid. I'm telling you, and he was the talk of a lot of people today about as far as pro ready. Cam Ward is ready. They said by game 6 he could come in. So
but
they
Lisa,
were
let me say
about
this.
Go ahead.
The constant chatter I am hearing is how this entire quarterback class is not it. Like these are not franchiser savers. These are kids who need to come in and learn. This is not, you don't have a CJ Stroud this year. You don't have, that type of feel. And so it baffles me when you have better players, because Kate, I know who you want your Browns to take. And so when you have better players, you don't have to take a quarterback. It drives me insane. Kate, can you call them? Tell them they're not smart.
I've tried. They blocked me. They don't listen to me. I wanted Sam Darnold, and while I loved Baker and he's doing fine in Tampa, he's still short. I think Lisa and I think maybe we all have the same philosophy. If you take a quarterback top 5, he better be ready to play this year.
See, and I think when you fall back on that,
even Cam Ward could use a year on a bench.
Yeah.
He can play, but I think a year wouldn't kill him. And when the single best player in this draft is a franchise-changing talent like Travis Hunter, I don't know how you take I don't know if the Titans take Cam Ward at 1. I almost hope they're smoking everybody and they take him at 1, because then the Browns, I can't see them taking Shedeur, and I don't think he'd want to come here. I think his agent is being very clear with some of these teams, and you can pull Eli Manning. Wouldn't surprise me. Maybe they trade out at 2 before they take someone. I don't know.
Apparently, from everybody I talked to today, said that is a rumor, that that Sanders has said nothing to him about going anywhere or pulling that. The Browns,
you know who his dad is, right?
But the Browns have certainly said that, and the 2 people that I talked to from the Browns organization are adamant that's not in play here. That if the Browns want, if Titans go Cam Ward number 1, that Shedeur will come off at 2.
So we're in that season that I call draft day poker.
Yes.
Is that really what they want to do, or are they trying to entice a team to trade up with someone? You know what I mean? It's
interesting.
Knowing the Browns, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to take whichever quarterback is there at 2, and I'm just going to have to deal with it.
But the problem with that, though, is I think the Browns are kind of handcuffed at this point. I think before 2 weeks ago, when we found out that the other Achilles went, and that might not. So I think that changed the whole philosophy in the Browns camp.
It did, and we still owe him $92 million. And there are some legal eagles doing work because our quarterback was kind enough to share videos on social media of him hanging out with his girl, and he wasn't wearing his boot after he was supposed to be wearing his boot. And now the argument is you didn't follow the rehab rules and you broke it again and you violated your contract. So they're looking into that, none of which changes the fact that I don't think he'll ever play for us again. They still owe him $92 million. We either need a rookie we can get cheap, or we need like a Kirk Cousins, somebody who wants to do a Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh deal here and play for $1.2 million to get us to next year's draft. I don't know.
All right.
We're not enough. Myles Garrett, and he's only got so many years left.
Don't talk to me about Myles Garrett. Don't do it, Lisa. Okay, we're not here to just talk about Cleveland. So, what else did you see? What else? You had a great little interview. Darcy put this up here. It says, "Don't know if he gets drafted, but it was nice to see you guys get something with Taylor Elgersma. I hope." He was obviously the CFL like Heisman Trophy winner this year. Seemed like a real nice kid. What did you see with him?
Well, I talked to him a lot.
You did.
I did. I talked to him a lot. I actually talked to him a little bit more tonight in the media room. I didn't tape it. It was just more of a one-on-one when everybody else was getting their turn. The one thing I'm gonna tell about this kid, he's a tough kid. His whole growing up was hockey. He's a hockey player. So he's one tough kid, bro. He is one tough kid. Yeah. I mean, he's a smart kid. He feels like he can pick things up. He'll first admit he's never been under center. The kid never played under center, shotgun the whole time. So it's all a big learning curve for him. And he'll be the first to admit to you that it's just, it comes fast at you. But he's already shown from yesterday to today a tremendous stride. So he's stride. So he, with his size, with what he brings to the table. I mean, he's their equivalent of our Heisman Trophy winner. 4,000 yards, but always out of the shotgun, always talking about formations. And once again, I think this is a good position for him here at the Senior Bowl. And he got the opportunity because Will Howard from Ohio State pulled out. And so he was Nagy's next call to bring down, which tremendously a lot of teams love it because, like I said, once again, you're not getting these crazy formations, you're not bringing safeties, you're not, blitzing. So to kind of see where, like Kate was talking about, a good project. I mean, he could be a diamond in the rough.
He might be someone, Lisa, who would benefit from a year in the UFL. He like a little, maybe one of the lower or even the leagues they have over that just gets a little more NFL.
Or a practice squad.
Yeah.
Or on a practice squad for a team. But this is another kid that we have all talked about. He needs to fall in the situation to where he can be groomed along by a good coaching staff.
Yeah, for sure.
That's one of the cool things to me about the Senior Bowl. There's always a couple players that they're going to go in the 5th or 6th round, but the coaches get to see how they adjust and how coachable they are from the first practice as the week goes on. And some of these guys come in, they are set in their ways. They had Saban or whoever they had, and you can't tell them nothing. They know what they're doing.
Right.
And you have kids like this, and the coaches can see, hey, he's listening. He's picking it up. He's connecting the dots. I can coach him up.
Yeah.
Now it makes his ceiling way up here because being coachable is probably almost as important as being tall or being healthy.
Yeah, 100%.
It's the truth.
What else stood out to you today, Lisa?
Some offensive line guys. I mean, they got some really good. There's a Jacksonville guy, a smaller school guy that got some recognition today. Let me pull up my notes because, like I said, he's a guy that everybody kind of watched and was looking at. Let me see if I can grab that kid's name for you because I watched him a little bit. I was watching a lot of the offensive lines. Tight ends also, you got Mason Taylor here, Jason Taylor's son. I talked to Mason exclusively. I also talked to the Miami Hurricanes tight end. I always butcher the kid's name, is Elijah Aruo. This kid's a beast. Yeah. I mean, if you want a tight end, I mean, this is going to be a good class. I mean, you've got Pedigree and Taylor. You've got a huge tight end, Aruo, and a great blocking tight ends too, by the way. Both these guys can block.
Yeah.
So you can look. So if you look, so one of the other guys that a lot of people were talking about too was Gray Zabel, the North Dakota State.
Don't talk to me about North Dakota State.
Sorry. It's okay.
They're a good team.
Yeah, but he had a strong day today. I mean, he did. Another one was the offensive line, Clay Webb, Jacksonville State. He's another one that kind of people were kind of talking about today. And a lot of these are one-on-one drills of these guys moving people. So like I said, when you get into game day, it's going to be just instead of just moving people and holding blocks, you're not going to see a lot of the stunts. You're not going to see a lot of the, back and forth with these kids. So, and I think that helps the smaller school kids like these two, because you get to see the raw talent of them and how coachable they're going to be and how versatile. A lot of the talk was like left side, right side, where are you comfortable? I talked to Jalen Rivers from the Miami Hurricanes today, and these kids will play anywhere they want. They just want an opportunity in the NFL. But good thing about Jalen Rivers is he likes the left side, which is, usually a lot of these guys get set on that right side and right guard and they get comfortable. This kid plays left tackle and left guard. And so, I talked to him for a little bit today because I always said that some of these guys you can get right in your hometown. You know, like Cleveland, let's look at Ohio, Miami, let's look at the Canes, Florida State, you know, Atlanta. I mean, it's always, you know, some of these guys are right in your backyard. And I just wish some of these teams would start, you know, kind of doing
opening their eyes a little bit.
Yeah. And I think a lot of these kids have talked to, from what I've talked to these kids, all 32 teams have talked to every single one of these kids I just mentioned.
Oh, that's awesome. So good question from Kristen. Any HBCU guys stand out? Steve Weiss lost his mind on Twitter.
I was about to say, I think
Blue
there
Sky.
was one. Yeah.
There is one player from HBCU there, and I guess he was smoking people left and right. So, Kristen, go to Steve Weiss's account. I think he put it on Blue Sky and Twitter, on both of them. He was jazzed. Let's just put it that way. We retweeted it also about, I think it was a defensive lineman, wasn't it, Sonia?
Was it?
Yeah, from Alabama A&M.
Yeah.
Hang on.
A&M. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you in like 3 seconds.
It was
Carson Vinson. Offensive tackle Carson Vinson.
Oh, was it an offensive tackle? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
gotcha. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. So that was really exciting. For Steve was, I love it when Steve gets excited about that stuff. It makes me real happy. So that was supposed to be really good. Well, the interesting thing about the Senior Bowl, did you guys hear the little dust up between the two bowls, the Shrine Bowl and the
Yes, I heard all about it today.
Got a little snappy with each other. But here's the thing. This is the way I look at it. These are meant to put these players in front of the eyeballs of the men who are going to hire them, the men and women who are going to hire them. And so the more, the better, in my opinion. Make sure that you have as many opportunities for as many of these players, because the small school guys aren't going to always get the invite to the Senior Bowl, so they can go to the Shrine Game. And the HBCU guys have to have their Legacy Bowl, so that then, because they don't. And I think that does nothing but hopefully make the league better, in my opinion. So I think that is great. So Lisa probably has a few more videos she's going to post up. And then we will make sure and get those out to everyone. Next week, we will probably, I don't know what we're going to talk about next week, because I'm going to be real sick of the Chiefs and the Eagles by then. But maybe we'll have more to talk about. We'll talk about the Pro Bowl.
Maybe the Saints will hire a coach.
Maybe the Saints will hire a coach. That would be good.
Yes.
We'll definitely be here. And then, of course, we will be here the Tuesday after the Super Bowl. Interestingly enough, just for future reference for you guys to keep in mind, we normally take a couple of weeks off after the Super Bowl, but we are not going to do that this year, because we are moving our show to a Wednesday. Once again, I think it's the 19th of February, if I remember the date. Emory Hunt is going to come on our show, right? It's the week before the Combine. He is going to come give us the lowdown on all the best players, some small school players to be looking for, who he think his top 10 draft picks are going to be. It is going to be really good. And then the next week, Kaiten and I are both going to the Combine. So you will get live reports from us from the Combine. So we got a lot going on over the next week. Yes, we know the Super Bowl's coming, but all of these college stuff is going on, and it's super, super fun. So we want to thank you guys all for hanging out with us. We'll be back again next Tuesday, not Wednesday, same time, same place. Good night, everybody.